Good. So now we've set the stage for where all this comes from that still lives on in parts of the world. There are still churches in different countries that demand that you donate something to the church. And for those that don't, for those that can't, for those families that don't, some are actually like publicly shamed in the church. So there is no better way of controlling people aside from, brute force, especially women, than by shaming them. So as we move through this next part, just remember that as we move through this sin, what is hidden behind it is probably going to be guilt and shame as you step into bringing it into the conscious state of its true powerful energy. And as that opens up, you're also going to find these patterns of guilt and shame coming up. And I invite you to look at them as just remember in your mind, oh, that's old programming, because you're shifting new neurological patterns that have probably not been in your lineage for generations. So there's a reason why we have these patterns, and that is because what is held behind it is very powerful guilt and shame, right? It's very, very convincing that we're not doing the right thing. Because how could we not have that, really, is the question that I ask. And so let me share a couple of slides with you. So originally, the definition of to sin is to miss the mark. That's what it says. It says to miss the mark. And we know that the old story of fear and control was so that people could be controlled by the church, donate money to the church, follow the church, be shamed by the church, all those things. That's all about control. And again, this is not a takedown of churches. There's, I love sitting in them myself. And there's some religions that are really designed to help human beings. But when we look back, those beliefs that come up around it to miss the mark, what does that even mean? Well, some of the things I've heard thrown around are money is the root of all evil. Well, that was actually a misinterpretation, like so many of them that create fear. It was actually that the attachment to money, the focus on money as the be all end all, and the hoarding of money was actually the root of all evil, not money itself. Money is it's just pieces of paper that we've placed value on. Money is an energy. So, but within the way that if you take away the fear and the control, the new original definition that I like, my definition is to actually miss the mark of yourself. Because we know in our truest, finest intuition that when we're off base, when we're off alignment, that we miss the mark of ourselves. And sometimes for decades. And we know at the end of our lives that we wish we wouldn't have missed the mark of ourselves. So there's a reason we have intuition. That was like, if you want to use the word God given, source given, birth given, birthright. We have intuition. Why would we even have that if we're supposed to be following someone else? We wouldn't have it. So when you know that you really want to go on a trip, or you know that you really like this food, or you know that you really like this person, that is not missing the mark of yourself because it's a knowing. So hopefully you can follow that. Remembering that here we are bringing the subconscious to the conscious. Now, as we move through this, you might be thinking about, well, what if I become greedy? What if I then just become greedy for everything? But I want to remind you that the examples that we see of greedy are not conscious, they're unconscious. So the people that, that are just taking over countries, taking over other people, greedy for making themselves billionaires at the expense. There's nothing wrong with being a billionaire per se, but at the expense of stepping on other people. That is unconscious greed. And I guarantee you that they're not in a class like this. So, because you are making greed conscious. So you're not going to ever, you are the least likely people to step into um, narcissistic control and greed, right? Because the truth is, we are the only species in the world that trains part of their population, over half their population, to be small, good, and poor. We're the only species that trains half of their population to be prey, right? And this is, I don't want to put you in like kind of a helpless situation, because as you're learning this, you are going to start seeing the patterns for what they are and not being the pattern. So I ask you, and you can pull out your journal if you like, if you want to explore what comes up for you around the energy of greed. What have you been taught around wanting more? More money, more food, more ambition, more success, more love, more. It's a very natural instinct for a child when they taste something good to want more. And then maybe they eat too much, they feel sick, and their body course corrects itself, right? It's a very natural impulse to want more. And if you can take away even the word greed and replace it with filling your hunger of expansion or desire, I don't think there's anyone on the planet that wouldn't want more. And when we repress that, it becomes distorted, and we end up really either depriving ourselves and being resentful. Or I also want to say that when we repress that, we also create a whole society based on diet culture, which has been shown to cause obesity. So, do you see the contradiction, that the paradox there? So here we're moving down into the middle, into the purest energy of greed. Say before you had language, what was it? It was just a forward moving motion towards something that goes, ooh, that lights me up. And so, as I said, it comes in this like, it all surrounds worthiness of wanting to be seen, liked, and valued by other people. We're flipping that on its head so we can see it and really be seen, liked, and valued by ourselves. And then the other stuff is bonus. And the world does tend to mirror your own self-worth. So in pride, let's say, keep it to yourself, don't show off. When you're coming from value, you show them what you're worth, because you know your worth. In sloth and lazy, when we're talking about worthiness, we have to hustle, do. What am I going to do? What should I do? And so that we can do more to be worth more. The value of it was rest and knowing already I am worth it. Worth what? I am worth. I am worth. And in that value, we're open to receiving. In greed, the worth is finding your worth, through this sin or without this sin, is accept. If you're greedy, accept what you're given. Don't be difficult. Don't be spoiled. Don't be high maintenance. Don't be what, they've termed a Karen. Don't make trouble. Don't ask for more. And so it kind of leaves us groveling and pleading for more. This is a product of our society, not you. To become dependent on the system or on a partner is the way it's being set up. And if we're childbearing, if we're really in the truth and the worth of that, we are going to be receiving support, help, worth, not worth, but the help of either the system or a partner. Like it's just, and then when we place worth on it, it gets all muddy. Okay, greed. The value is when you're valued, when you value it, you recognize how truly valuable you are, and that you are an organism, a human being that has wants and needs. This doesn't make you needy. It doesn't make you greedy. This is just like a tree. A tree needs water. It needs sunlight. It's not having to beg and bargain and plead for it. It just is. That's the energy we're looking for. So we do have a sin coming up that relates more to food but we'll touch on that. But here we're going to talk about what it feels like to ask for more money. And let's step right into this conditioning, the patterns, what comes up for you. Am I worth it? Is what I am giving worth this amount of money? So now we're out in the action, in the doing. But it's also, how much is too much and how much is too little. And this is where greed comes in because there is no set point. There's nothing that says this is the perfect amount. That is only what you can determine from the mark of yourself, right? So, what is too much? How much is too much chocolate? Only you can tell. What is too much money to ask? And what is too little money? What is not enough in everything? What's not enough? And it leaves us in this ping pong. And the only answer where you'll really step into the truth is actually not in the mind of how much, what should I do, is to actually step in, just stepping into worth and let go of greed for a moment. Because it's really common, as we know, to feel greedy, not enough, too much. And we're taught to consume in our society. We're taught to consume. This is what you need. You need this cream. You need this food. You need this vitamin. You need this new program. You need this book. Yet we're rewarded for constraint. Oh no, I'll just have a little bit. Oh no, no, just a tiny coffee for me today. I used to love coffee. Yeah. And anything else is seen like greedy. So we're taught to consume, yet we're rewarded for constraint. And this is just like a mind mess because there is no set point. So let's just let go. This class was not going to teach you the perfect place because only you can know the perfect place for you. Um, Shame over too much. Or, okay, let's talk about money. Um, so many women have told me, and I've experienced myself, when we start talking about money, when we start making sales, when we, have conversations about money, that I remember my mother saying this when she would go into meetings with their financial planner person. She said she would just go into focusing on one part of the room. I remember her saying that, or one part of what the person was saying. And she was really going into a fog or a freeze, a confusion, because we haven't had these conversations as much as we are having them now. So mentioning that just to let you know, that's what's happening. You're not stupid. You're not bad with money. But what you can do there is just come into some safety in your body, not try to figure it out, and take a few breaths and just be here in your feet in your seat. Money and women are a new relationship. So you're creating new neural pathways. This takes repetition and practice. When you feel, if you clench when you open your bank account and you try to then start figuring out, how am I going to make money? I'm going to ask you to relax in that moment. And if you can't, you might want to just close your bank account, reset, re-regulate, spend more time there until you can come back in a relaxed state. So I'm going to stop for the share for a moment. The energy of greed is a sensation in the body that says, I'm yearning for more. I want more. I need this. And often, sometimes it is a hunger that's not about food or money. Sometimes that abundance is, I want connection. I want to be with nature. And those are the perhaps easier ones to start with this energy of what you are greedy for more of. I would love to know. And we start to get familiar with the with the energy of wanting more and allowing yourself to want without telling yourself that you're not good enough for not having it. So right now we're just tapping into a dream state almost of it. Don't get into a place where you're dreaming and then you're disappointed because you don't have it, but you're dreaming yourself into the energy of greed. We're reclaiming it now. What do I dream? What do I yearn? What do I ache for more of? And it might be peace, it might be love, it might be time alone, it might be more reading time. It might be, time with certain people. So here's the thing here. Don't go into action. Just allow yourself to feel that your body has wants and needs. And this is going to open up the energy, a portal that we're going to continue on with next week into something else. But the fact that you are a desiring, wanting, needing human being is a beautiful thing because you're not finite. You're not one and done. You're not, this is the place. This is the right place. This is the perfect amount. Check, check. 100% you get an A plus. No, you are continually evolving, continually creating, desiring, and wanting human being. And just with that energy, you're going to start opening up new portals, new energies, new ideas. And be mindful of not going into, yeah, what do I do? You tell me how to get it. How do I get there? It's fine to dream. Tell me how to get there. Let go right now. Let go of that and feel that energy without A, having to do it, or B, then being disappointed that, because those are thoughts. Oh, I'm not there yet. I should be there by now. No, no, no. Notice and feel. Now, if you do want something to do, write a list of what you need. What do you need in your particular life? Some people, our needs are so different. Again, there's no right perfect amount, 1 cup of this and 2 cups of that. Be honest, be clear. And don't say, well, I need at least 5 minutes of quiet every day. But don't even don't measure it. I need quiet. I need more quiet. quiet in my life. I need more music in my life. And now write a list of what you want, simply to enjoy the energy of allowing yourself to want and dream. And you're allowed to want, and we're tapping into the energy. You can want more than you've ever imagined yourself to want. Go beyond the mind and just step into, you can even write out what would be a dream life for you. And be mindful this not to set you up for disappointment and failure. That's not the point. It's to dream something new into being through your wants and needs and reclaiming greed. Because we actually need more women who are greedy. Um, and stop apologizing for wanting more and get greedy. More time, more energy, more rest, more fun, more chocolate, more alone time, more friends. And don't make a plan. You don't have to make a plan around it. Tap into the energy of greed. So when we do that, and again, if your mind is coming up and saying, well, how, what, where, I want you to step back into rest and sloth and step back into receiving. Receive this breath, receive this moment, receive my voice, receive this class, receive the room that you're in without having to give back. And if you're a person that when someone gives you something, you have to give back tenfold, maybe just put that on pause for the moment. And notice how much you're already receiving without having to do anything. So I'm going to close the book there. I look forward to seeing you next week and listening to how greed percolates and changes into wants and needs. Good luck. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.